This morning, myself, Ian, Nolan, Nathan, and Mark will be taking the time to talk about plant growth regulators, or PGRs. We will discuss how they work, why we use them, their benefits, and the negatives of them when too much is applied. First, we must discuss the physiology of turfgrass plants, the natural growth of the grass, and the hormones present allowing the plant to grow and stay healthy. We will then be able to understand how these PGRs work in different parts of the plant and how they change the balance of hormones.
To avoid causing damage to our grass by applying growth regulators, we should understand grass in its natural state. I would hate to be the person who applies a growth regulator and then a few days later, the grass is in worse shape than before. We will spend some time on different sections of the grass plant to give you a general understanding of how it grows. We will then look at photosynthesis and touch on what hormones naturally occur in the grass. Grass plants consist of roots and shoots. Starting with the roots, this is the fibrous mass which grows underground and absorbs water and nutrients from the soil. When a seed germinates, the first roots to appear are called seminal roots. Once the first stem and leaf appear, adventitious roots start growing. The seminal root dies off, leaving only the adventitious roots. The adventitious roots also die off at a rate of 2 times per year. These dead roots become part of the organic matter. Root growth occurs by adding new cells to the root tip, and to aid in root growth, it produces a slime-like substance to lubricate the soil. Roots also grow hairs to increase surface area, which increases absorption of water and nutrients from the soil. Shoots can be broken down to stems and leaves, which consist of repeated structural units called phytomers. These consist of a leaf, internode, auxiliary bud, and node. Each shoot typically has 5 or 6 phytomers, but can be 7 or more. Collectively, the node and internode are considered the stem. New shoot growth comes in the form of tillers, rhizomes, and stolons. There are 2 types of tillers, intervaginal and extravaginal. The intervaginal tillers grow vertically adjacent to the parent plant, producing a bunch-type growth pattern. The extravaginally tillers grow away from the parent plant before beginning vertical growth, which result in a spreading or creeping type growth pattern. If the horizontal growth is below ground, then the structure is called rhizomes. If above ground, then it's called stolons. Rhizomes are either continuous growth, producing tillers at progressive intervals, or terminal growth, producing 1 tiller and then stopping. Stolons are continuous growth and form tillers at each node. New tillers are dependent on the main shoot for nutrients until they've developed their own roots. Leaves are important to grass plants because without them, the root system would die off. The leaf is needed for photosynthesis and has tiny holes to allow for gas exchange between the leaf and atmosphere. Water is transported by the roots to the leaves and will diffuse across the leaf. Depending on environmental conditions such as temperature, relative humidity, wind speed, this water can evaporate in a process called transpiration. The change of water from liquid to gas absorbs heat, which enables the plant to maintain themselves within physiological temperatures. This assumes there is sufficient water available in the soil. The average life of a leaf is about 40 days, so the grass plant is continually growing new leaves. Flower heads can be considered the ultimate reason a plant grows shoots. If the grass is not cut or eaten, it will form a flower head. The purpose of the flower head is to generate seeds to propagate the grass. These seeds are distributed in the wind and will have tiny scales to protect the seed to maturity. Any seed you purchase from the store has these scales removed as they are not necessary. One item to note is that rhizome or stolon production will not start until the grass is cut. Grasses, like all plants, capture energy from the sun, which is then converted into sugars and carbohydrates. The plant would use these along with nutrients and minerals for cell division or growth, development, and reproduction. In order for this to occur, photosynthesis must happen to produce the needed energy. Photosynthesis is where the leaves take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through tiny openings in the leaves and splits the carbon dioxide and water. The water and carbon are recombined into sugars and the oxygen is released into the atmosphere. The following hormones are naturally occurring in turfgrass and will be discussed in detail later in this presentation. Auxins, cytokinins, gibberellins, ethylene, abscisic acid.
Turf stress and hormones. Hormone production or suppression within turf grass can be triggered by numerous environmental stresses such as heat, cold, drought, and high salt concentrations. When stresses occur, various hormones inside the plant are produced to create a natural self-defense mechanism to help the turf survive. Hormone response is self-regulated by the plant and is usually an afterthought for turf managers since we can't see the inside of the plant and hormone responses are complex. But understanding the basic hormonal responses is critical to avoiding unintentional stress. 5 of the major plant hormones critical to turf health and performance include auxin, cytokinin, ethylene, abscisic acid, and gibberellic acid. There are many other hormones that have been discovered and researched, but these 5 have the most significant impact on turf health. Auxins. Auxins positively influence cell elongation. They also have a positive effect on increasing cell division. This in essence increases plant length, also known as promoting primary growth, whereby the apex or tip of a plant grows while the lateral buds remain undeveloped. These auxins are destroyed by sunlight, causing the opposite side to grow faster, in essence causing the plant to tilt. This change in plant structure due to the sun is called phototropism. Auxins added to a cut stem will simulate root growth from that location. Cytokinins. When concentrated inside the plant, this hormone regulates the rate of cell division, gas exchange through stomatal openings of the cell, and root development. It is a primary hormone that governs the rate of growth. Unlike auxin, the cytokinin hormone promotes secondary growth or lateral growth, like branches and new leaves. Gibberellic acid, or GA. This is a growth stimulator that is important in cell growth and elongation, as well as breaking dormancy. Gibberellins work in tandem with cytokinin and auxin. A suppression of GA results in stunting or restricting growth. Golf courses can use this to their advantage on golf greens, for example, because less mowing equals less stress, as well as lowering the amount of nutrients pulled from the soil during periods of heavy growth. And next we have abscisic acid, also known as ABA. This hormone is a growth inhibitor, commonly referred to as a stress hormone. It enables the plant physiology for self-defense. It prolongs dormancy, increases water conservation via stomatal closure, and inhibits cell division, elongation, and growth. The adding of ABA nets the same results as the suppression of GA. Last, we have ethylene. Ethylene is a naturally occurring gas that promotes senescence, or the aging of a plant. It is also responsible for ripening of fruit and controlling the death of flowers and leaves.
Plant growth regulators, or PGRs, are chemicals used in the turfgrass industry to reduce the need to mow, suppress seed heads, and suppress other types of unwanted grasses. Many factors affect the performance of the plant growth regulators you use, such as how well the chemicals are absorbed by the turfgrass, dosage, timing, and weather conditions before, after, and during the application. There are a couple different types of PGRs called Type 1 and Type 2. Type 1 plant growth regulators inhibit both cell division and cell elongation, whereas Type 2 inhibits only cell elongation. These can be used on many different areas of the golf course, although knowing when in the season to use them can prove to be a very important factor. Quality Pro T-Nex and Syngenta Primo Max are both Type 2 PGRs, which are microemulsion concentrates that help to reduce the growth of cool and warm season grasses while helping improve their quality and stress tolerance. They both contain a chemical compound called trinexapac ethyl as its active ingredient, and it slows the production of the gibberellic acid, a plant hormone that promotes cell elongation, as Ian mentioned on the last slide about the different plant hormones. It aims to reduce frequent mowing and the amount of grass clippings when used as directed, while promoting denser, healthier turf that is better able to withstand a variety of stresses including drought, heat, diseases, and traffic. Vertical shoot growth is slowed, while lateral and below-ground growth of rhizomes, stolons, tillers, and roots is stimulated. With deeper, stronger roots, the turf will be tougher, allowing more resistance to shade, drought, and damage from golfers, and you'll have less bare spots. These PGRs also help enhance the color of the turf. They can be mixed with water completely, and it can be used with other pesticides and liquid fertilizers perfectly. One plant growth regulator that is used to inhibit both cell division and cell elongation is mBark, which is a type 1 PGR. It's often used against Poa annua as it slows seed head production, but unfortunately this is not available in Canada.
In summary, how does a plant growth regulator work? PGRs work by altering the natural growth habits in turf. Plant growth regulators are organic compounds. They can either increase or decrease plant growth. Cell division and photosynthesis are what primarily creates growth in the natural plant. The anatomy of turf grass was also covered in this presentation. Different types of plant growth regulators include Qualipro Tnex and Syngenta Promax. They are approved for use in Canada and are both type 2 PGRs. They are microemulsion concentrates that help to reduce the growth of cool and warm season grasses while helping to improve their quality and stress tolerance. They both contain a chemical compound called trinexapac ethyl as their active ingredient. Type 1 PGRs inhibit cell division and cell elongation, while type 2 PGRs inhibit cell elongation. A few specific hormones that were covered were auxins, which promote primary growth, cytokinins, promote cell division, gibberellins, trigger germination in dormant seeds, ethylene, affects the growth of roots and promotes death of flowers, and abscisic acid, ABA, which inhibits the plant growth and development. After learning about the process of plant growth and how their hormones influence growth in different ways, we can now understand the benefits of PGRs and when to use them. When in midsummer, we can use trinexapac ethyl to slow the auxins, promoting leaf growth, to make sure our greens are consistent throughout the day. Without this, we will have very fast-growing turf that will slow the greens by the evening, and emphasize any bumpiness caused by patches growing at different rates. However, in the spring and fall, we do not use PGRs as they will cause damages. During this time, we value rejuvenation and winter preparation, which is why we want longer leaves capturing the most sunlight for photosynthesis, causing deeper roots that will tolerate cooler weathers. Our next presentation will cover proper use of plant growth regulators to avoid any negative effects as shown on this picture. The top half is untreated, but the bottom half has been improperly treated with PGRs.